Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. In case you didn't know, they call me Trini D. And this is Trini Declassified, baby.
You are now listening to Trini D.
Classified.
They call me Trini D.
Declassified. Welcome to my show. Welcome to the new show. They call me Trini D. As you know, for those who don't, I am from Trinidad and Tobago. Way up to all my big island people out there. But 4 years ago, for those who don't know, 4 years ago, right here in the show was our last episode.
Exactly.
Our last episode where we did a show called Thursday Night School. It was a very, very good weekly podcast. We went through a lot of current events, a lot of hip hop, a lot of fun stuff, honestly. It was just a good time that we were just vibing and talking smack on a Thursday night. But unfortunately, 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago to this date.
The blip happened.
The blip happened. And I love that terminology because
it literally is a blip.
It literally was the blip. And I think that it's mind-blowing that, like, you know, the Simpsons be calling out some stuff and having future predictions, but Marvel just told it to you right in your face.
Yeah.
They did it with Thanos. Shout out to Josh Brolin. And it happens. And we unfortunately weren't able to be back at this studio for quite some time because of the pandemic. We were here on a college in Orlando, Florida. But 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago to this date, we are back. I'm here with my guest, the first person that ever introduced me to the podcast world, to the talk show world, to the radio show world, to come out here, talk your smack, talk your facts kind of world. Ladies and gentlemen, my homie, my good friend, DJ, Spyda the Dawn.
What's up, everybody?
Round of
How you
applause.
doing? How everybody feeling tonight? Of course, I'm honored to be Trinity's first guest. It's been a while.
It's been a minute,
And
man.
I'm happy that he's stepping into the podcast world and stepping into his own lane right here. So looking forward to tonight's conversation. It should be a good time.
The first thing I just wanted to acknowledge is, yes, the pandemic, the blip happened, man. How have you been, man? Because this we had no idea. I was actually watching the last episode that we had, and absolutely no idea. We were. I'm not gonna lie. I was hella dogging this as like a serious issue, making fun of people in the masks, making fun of people with the Purell. I mean, this was like literally March 10th, I think, 2020. Yeah. So, you know, first of all, my bad. I mean, I apologize. I was one of those guys, you know, I was wrong. I'll admit it. But how have you been since that moment, man?
I think I've been all right, you know, surprisingly, to my knowledge. And as far as me getting sick, I never caught COVID. Even when
Never.
I didn't catch COVID.
Knock on wood, 4 years.
Well, it's still going out there.
Oh, my God.
But I somehow surprised myself and through saving and hard time, was able to get a house in 2022. But thank God I got it before those interest rates really skyrocketed.
It's bad. Like, we're not even just trying to sound like two old heads right now. Like truthfully.
I'm old. I ain't gonna lie.
It's all because of you New Yorkers, okay? All you snowbirds coming down here. So get out.
You say, oh, I'm not from here, I'm from New York. Go back to New York.
It's open. Okay?
Go back, B.
Pandemic is
Go back,
son. It's been 4 years.
Go back, kid.
Go. The blip is done.
Yeah, exactly.
Go.
It's like after Infinity War. We all just came back. Boop.
You know?
Move back.
4 years later, man, it's been kind of crazy. I think that for me, the worst part about it was the DJing. Yeah. Like really, and I hate to say this, once DJing came back in 2021, it made me realize how much like I missed it, like how much of like a high it is kind of, you know what I mean? Like, not to say it's like a drug, but it is a great adrenaline feeling going in front of people, 50, 100, 200 people, curating the crowd, curating their vibes, making sure like it's lit. And then of course drinking a little bit, you know, being in the flow.
This guy be having a good time.
I'll be having a great time, guys. But it just still blows my mind that like there was a full year where like all of that took a pause. Like, we were blessed to have our full-time jobs and work from home. Yeah. But man, how many people do you know, the bartenders, the actual DJs that worked in the industry?
Definitely impacted. I think I was blessed because at that time I was one. I'm gonna toot my own horn. I was pretty much holding up the music, local music scene on my back at
nice.
one point. You know, doing the showcases, doing the beat battles. I was out there with a face shield and a mask, DJing. I mean, hey, you need this? Hey, man, give me a little space. But I had my
6
face,
feet.
but with a face shield and a mask, and with a hand sanitizer in my bag, ready to go. I was not taking no chances.
Did you have the spray on that you would just spray in front of your mask and just like windshield wipe it?
I should have sprayed them. You know what I mean? But other than that, man, I think during that time period, it was difficult because you kind of had to take what was available to you.
I think we pivoted pretty well in the last 4 years. I think took a break from these podcasts, took a break from DJing, you know, but we actually got back in it. So, I mean, that kind of brings me to my next question because we had a show for like 2 years together. You had it for a little bit longer than that too, doing it by yourself, killing it by yourself. How did you get started? Like, how did you actually get started in your DJ career, man? Like, give us a little bit of. I mean, I don't want to say your government name, but talk a little bit about you. How did Spyda start off? I mean, I know your college football career was out there. From there, how did it get into music? How did you pivot into this whole lifestyle?
So I started playing music instruments at 6 years old. And from playing piano, doing drums and violin at one point.
You play piano, drums, and violin?
Yeah, I'm classically trained in piano and violin, and just play drums at church, picking it up.
At church?
Yeah.
Okay, so how old were you at this time?
When I started picking up drums, I was about 10.
Okay.
I was playing violin at 6. Piano was like at 7.
Wow.
And I stopped everything in college because I just had no time to practice because I was practicing football.
Yeah, okay. You need to practice those
I
instruments.
still have a keyboard at the house. And
were you reading music and everything back then? Really?
Reading music by sight, playing by ear, and all that.
Okay.
I think the first interaction with a DJ was I was in summer camp. I was like around 10 or 12. And one of our camp counselors was actually, I went to camp at FAMU. One of the guys was actually
shout out
part of the Marching 100, the band.
Wow.
And his side hustle
was DJ.
Okay. And one day he brought in his turntables and everything. Like, oh guys, I'm gonna show you what I don't just play piano, but also I'm a DJ.
And these had to be vinyl, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, this is back when it was vinyl. And he just brought his stuff, and I'm like, yo, what are these? I'm so interested in that. And of course, when in the time period, me and my mom moved away to another state, she had a little turntable and like a little records, and I totally destroyed her Thriller album.
I was gonna say, you can't do that to actual vinyl turntables
on a real like real gramophone, if you call it.
Yeah, with the actual big horn.
It wasn't that, but it was one of the newer ones. It was like a whole little boombox set up.
Still, they don't have the needle for you to. Yeah. Oh man,
I shredded her Thriller album.
Oh, not the Michael Jackson. You know that's probably worth something too.
Yeah,
man.
Mom, I'm sorry.
That's like an OG copy.
Yeah, it is.
Like I collect vinyl. I know, man. Damn.
It was an original Thriller album. I thrashed it.
Oh no,
trying to scratch and all that.
Hey, I bet you were killing them cuts though.
Shit, it wasn't CrossFitter, so I don't even know.
This is Thriller.
But then when it got to college, it was like I kind of found a way to kind of get into it as far as going to house parties, seeing other people doing it. I'm like, I can do this. I know music.
Yeah.
Started slowly buying equipment, and things started growing, and once again, I learned how to do on vinyl from other friends, and then going back and learning controllers and all this different stuff. So it became a hobby that just slowly grew over time, and just DJed my house parties in college, DJing frat parties in college, coming back to Tallahassee, DJing FAMU parties and Florida State parties, and
shout out,
moving to Orlando, and just kind of just kept going. And it's just been a consistent hobby. My life has always been about music and always been about sports. So those are two things that remain consistent throughout my life. So
what was your first party like? You remember your first party that you DJed by yourself?
My first, like, me DJing the party?
DJ Spyda DJing it.
I remember like a lot of every DJ's gone through this. A lot of the parties you're trying to throw, the first ones they're going to be like total misfires.
Of course, yeah. I want to hear about your mess up.
I remember
your train wreck.
Those first house parties. Like we're like, oh, throw a house party. I bet let's invite some people over.
Yeah,
we're throwing the hunch punch in there. The guys are there. We're like, where you invited the girls? We just sitting there playing music, and it just never. A couple of girls came out. We're like, where the rest of the girls at? Oh, I don't know. We're just sitting there looking at each other. So that's horrible. That's a very bad day, though. Very bad day. I used to DJ house parties with my boy DJ Secret all the time, and this back in summertime in Tally. This is the time of the year where, like, this year for some reason DJs were getting robbed.
Oh my God!
Just getting robbed. Like either you go into your car with your equipment, or they just bust in the house. Hey, everybody on the ground, give me your shit.
DJ specifically?
Yeah.
What?
They out here trying to sell your equipment on out there on
what was it, Craigslist?
Craigslist. They're gonna sell it to the thrift store, the pawn shop. So of course, the party gets busted by the cops. Everybody scatters like roaches. My boy Secret. At that point, he was getting his house was hot at the time. I don't know why we threw it at his house. His house was hot, so he jumped ship. Since the DJ being robbed, I'm like, bro, I can't leave my equipment. I don't trust nobody. So I'm sitting there with my equipment. The cops have the light on me and all this stuff.
Yo.
Who lives? I'm like, bro, I'm just a DJ. If I ever get in trouble and people say, what's going on? I'm like, yo, I just work here. That's where I get it from.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm just the DJ.
Yeah, no, for real.
I just got booked. I don't know who booked me here. I was just here. So stay here. I'm sitting on the ground. The light on me. It's like that whole interaction was I'm sitting there for an hour. They finally leave. Secret finally comes back 30 minutes later. You all good, bro? I'm like, you left me. I don't know what's going on. Hey, man, it's hot. Man, I'm hot right now. I'm like, all right, whatever, man. So there's great times I have memories like that and just like watching life go by and think about like, yo, I'm in my 30s now. What was I doing?
Yo.
Throwing house parties. I got stopped by so many times with the cops. I'm surprised I don't have a record. You know what I'm saying?
No, trust me, man. I'm the same way from house parties. I mean, it's kind of like, what was Martin Lawrence's name in a house party? Was it Bilal? I think.
Yeah,
or something
yeah, Bilal. Yeah,
I feel like I go through
we lived that life.
what he's gone through, like
bumping tables, yelling at people, trying to pack your stuff in back of somebody's car,
scratching the speaker, bro. Like I feel like I used to I watched that show before I was ever a DJ, and then like I went through this whole DJ
you relate
career.
to it so much,
and now I watch it, I'm like, yo, like. I'm like, I am him. Like I literally be complaining.
We may not have to carry the crates, but we still have to carry a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah, speakers and and people. I still work on vinyl, so people still bump into me or like make the table. Yeah, and it skips a little bit. Yeah. So, oh my god, you mentioned the summer. There was just a bunch of house parties going on. I've DJed a lot of college parties too, but like my point is this: I've talked about this a lot with DJs. The art of the house party is completely gone. Oh yeah, it's dead.
I even tell you this: in Tallahassee, the house party scene is dry.
Oh no, I would say
there's no more house parties
here in Orlando as well. And you would think in a place like Tallahassee or Gainesville, it should be because it's not.
It's a college town.
It's a college town.
It's a true college town.
Literally college towns to where like okay, Orlando, people coming from all over the world. It's a big tourist area. There's a big downtown. But no, places that are specifically college towns where it should be house parties, like playing beer pong with Kyle and Chad, right? Yeah. Like that's how it should be. There's no longer that anymore. Unless you literally are Greek life and part of a sorority or fraternity, like I don't see people having those big house parties anymore. Yeah. So I've always had this conversation because as a DJ, I think that this is what happened. I think the house party died with the invention of the Bluetooth speaker. And that is my honest opinion because I remember back then, this is going to make me sound old, but Bluetooth speaker is such a crazy technology, guys. Yeah. Like, I know it's such an easy convenience for y'all. Y'all got your Apple HomePods hooked up and everything. Yeah. But like the Bluetooth speaker, that's kind of why people used to get DJs because unless you're a West Indian person or West Indian household like us and you got the old system with the whole CD track, it's all like in a glass cabinet kind of thing stacked on top of each other. Yeah. Unless you got that, most people didn't have loud
That's the
speakers.
thing, I scratched that thing. That's why I scratched the thing on the Thriller room, boy.
Now I know why your mom's mad.
Not my Thriller record.
So unless you had that, most people didn't have any means to have loud music. Like speakers weren't a thing like in your household back then.
I got a counterpoint to your argument.
What you got?
I don't think it was as much the invention of Bluetooth or the use of Bluetooth. I think it was more like the idea of like people could make their playlists.
So you're saying more like on the streaming or even more like like iTunes and stuff like that?
It's hand in hand. Okay. The Bluetooth and then the streaming iTunes, Spotify invention where they can make their own playlist for their own parties. Okay. Where they literally now use the house party as a pregame nowadays.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So it's changed from where the house party was the thing,
the focal point
or thing to do.
Yeah.
To where they can just use the streaming service to like host people to hang out.
Yeah.
So they don't want at this point they're no longer going to pay up and coming DJ maybe $50, $75.
They would rather pay the $100 for the speaker and then the $10 a month for the subscription.
Exactly.
You know,
they think about it. They give everybody put some money in on a keg. They paid it. They bought it back.
It's paid for. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You didn't really spend any time. I mean, but that's also used to be the thing with the DJ. You know, I think it also is a matter of, to your point, a lot of DJs like me don't take no requests. So now they got this thing on their phone where they could just queue it up. You know what I mean? Like,
part of the fun of being a DJ is being the soundtrack to the party. Yeah. And it seems like some people or some places don't understand that. Yeah. So it's like DJing in bars is different than DJing in a club. Okay. The request, it happens more at the bar than it does at the club.
Ah, okay. I see what you're getting at.
So when you do a house party, we treated the house parties back then for us like the club.
Yeah. Focal point.
Now that the requests are like now a thing nowadays to do in the bars, and now if you do house parties nowadays, they're requesting there's probably even more now because they're used to the playlist. They're used to getting what they want to hear. Yeah. And I'm sure now that's as far as the DJ culture as a house party has kind of died out because of that.
I can't even think that there is a culture anymore because, like you said, it's more of a pregame thing, and people just want to create their own vibes. They want to create their own request. I think another thing is also TikTok may have also, the attention span of social media has kind of, I don't want to say killed the culture.
The pre-choreographed dance moves now.
Yeah, like people don't want to go there and hear something new. And I think that is one of the biggest things I think about being a DJ now is like nobody wants to hear new music. Like if you hear something you don't know, it doesn't matter if it's from a favorite artist or like it's the genre of something, unless it's Afrobeats. Everybody loves Afrobeats. But like a new hip hop song or a new pop song, like people don't want to hear a brand new song because they don't know the dance. They don't know the words to it.
Good point on that is because now the record break is getting broke on TikTok. It's not getting broke by the DJs anymore.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It's not. The DJs were the focal point of breaking the record. Now everybody's running the social media to break the record or find somebody who can make a dance to it.
Man, these kids ain't gonna know what it was like to hear Funk Flex premiere a record, bro. Just repeat it a bunch of times, like,
or even how they do it in the clubs. It was
hold up,
bringing it back. Yeah.
Play that back. Rewind selector. Like
this is the new so and so. This is the new so and so. You want to get this around? Get it out now. They used to do that in the club, like early, right when the club was starting. They would just start playing all the new stuff.
Love it.
I was one of those guys, honestly. Not just because I was a DJ. I liked coming to the club early, like at 10 o'clock when the doors open. Yeah, I was cheap as get that good
Free
bar.
drinks before midnight.
Yeah, taking full advantage of that bar deal. But also because the DJs were playing all the stuff they were working on.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to hear all the new records, how they want to work in on the sets, how they're going to blend stuff. I'm not much of a DJ nerd. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
That's for me. That's for that time at 10 o'clock to 11:30 for y'all knuckleheads get in there. That's for me.
No requests.
No requests. I'm playing what I want to play. I'm playing songs I want to play around and find new mixes and blends. I can eventually work my way into the new club list.
Absolutely.
Like you said, it's the culture has changed, DJing has changed, but I think DJing will still be here for a long time. We'll find a way to do it in a different light or find a music curation will still be here for a while.
And to know that that's not even like a job anymore. Like,
I think we're the last generation to see like legit in the party dance battles.
Oh man.
Because I remember this is another thing. Because think about it. I DJ'd in Tallahassee for a lot of the summers and growing up there and stuff. We'll be doing house parties, right? And FAMU has a bunch of dance teams out there. And so it'll be in the party. You play a record, one dance team start going off. And another dance team has like a little. It was almost like you got served.
Yeah, literally.
Because that's what the thing is crazy about HBCUs. There's literally fraternities and sororities for almost anything. Like, oh, you a smoker? There's a smoke fraternity. Oh, you a drinker? There's a drink fraternity. Oh, you dance? There's a dance and fraternity. There's a doctor fraternity. There's fraternities for everything.
Yeah.
There was a fraternity sorority for twerking.
Ooh.
Called Berserk at FAMU.
I would love to be in that house.
Hey, I'll be your DJ. I'll DJ for y'all. You know what I mean?
You don't think that it's possibly now just evolved into like TikTok choreographed battles? Like people just gonna be in the club doing the little like TikTok.
But that only lasts like maybe 30 seconds till it's over.
20-second battle and that's it. Next song.
And I think one thing I do like about it is it kind of does unite people around that song.
Yeah.
So you see certain people when one song comes on, one person will start dancing, the next person will start doing, the other people start doing the dance with that person. So I think it's an interesting way to kind of create community.
Yeah.
Around music, as well as TikTok itself has its own other. Like I remember when our generation first got on MySpace, it was our own little world. Then we did move to Twitter, then moved to Facebook.
Yeah,
TikTok does a good way of finding yourself in like wormholes of conversation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it puts you in a bubble of that, which can be a detrimental.
It's an algorithm that gets you into the right content, kind of.
Exactly.
Basically. I was talking to my boss at my full-time job, and she was like, "Hey, you should start DJing on TikTok Live." And I was like, "Why? How do you know about that?" She was like, "I'm just scrolling, and sometimes I scroll into somebody's live stream, and I'm like, damn, that's another pivot."
DJ D Nice.
Yeah.
He's the one who did it at the top level on YouTube or wherever he did, and And that's one of the things that he did well during the pandemic was giving
He
people
made that
experience.
famous. He got awards for it. He
Yeah.
really was, and he did it off of like just playing it off of a speaker. Like he didn't even have to like a crazy connection to his phone where the audio was direct feed. He's like, no, you're gonna hear like the smoke alarm going off in the background. You're gonna hear the microphone closing.
It's real. It's real.
You have a good point. The dance battles. It's like
gone.
it's like
They're
the Kevin Hart joke where he's like, "Ooh, he got your heart." You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. But like, yeah, I think that we're the last group of people who legit will see a house party dance battle.
10 of your boys on one side, 10 of your like other on the other side.
Yeah, like
in a small living room. Yeah, man.
yeah, like it's gone now. That era is gone. It's crazy.
Last question before we end this DJ topic real quick. There's this thing called AI, not Allen Iverson. There's this thing called artificial intelligence that has kind of taken over everything, including the audio world. Amongst a lot of things that are going, the biggest thing going on is this thing called stems, or in a sense, basically extraction of the song. So you hear a song, you hear the bass line, you hear the kick drums, you hear the melody, you hear Ariana Grande going, like some crazy note. And before it used to be, in order to have the acapella, the words only, you had to have the actual acapella. So like the studio, when they're mixing those two tracks, they would have to export one version that's just the acapella, the words,
Or
another version that's just the instrumental, which is just the beat.
Yeah.
But before, we were good with just instrumentals and then acapellas.
or if you're doing the bootleg version, just turn down the bass and
You just turn on the bass and it still kind of sounds like an acapella.
Yeah, but it's kind of dirty.
It's very choppy.
It's a dirty mid. Yeah.
Very choppy. Those are what DIYs, those do-it-yourself acapellas.
That's how I mixed it for a long time.
I mean, a lot of people did. That's what we did growing up. But now with AI for the DJ world, it does all of that automatically. And like when it first came out, it sounded a little like DIY, do it yourself.
Yeah.
Now, and it's
clean.
only been like a year, if that much.
Clean.
The extraction I hear when you want to get the synth, the piano, the kicks, the cymbals, the hi-hats, the acapella, the background acapella, you could go to an AI program and it extracts all of that for you. And I think it's going to do so much good for the humanity and for the future of all DJs, of all producers, of all music artists, of all mankind.
Yeah.
My question is, do you think that this artificial intelligence, do you think that this AI is a good pivot, is a good thing for DJs and musicians, or do you think it's going to be a little bit more robotic?
But there's no replacement for the live interaction that a DJ has with an audience.
I agree.
Our job is to not just give them what they want, but anticipate what they want, and also sometimes tell them what they want. But it's also in how you play the song
Very true.
that gets them to want to hear that song again. I think some of the people of the smaller locations go the cheaper route, which does cut out a lot of jobs for the DJs who are on the rise. But the venues that know the value of what a legitimate DJ brings will be the ones who actually will pop the money and spend on actual entertainment.
Well, do you think that it's going to happen one day? Do you think a bar or a club, eventually, hookah lounge, do you think they would take an AI DJ over a DJ?
Do I see bars adopting this?
Yes.
The ones who that are on a budget? Yeah.
Hire DJs, okay?
Please.
Like this is how we got here, you know what I'm saying? Like without us, without that start, I don't know what we'd be doing. So
even though the rinky-dink house parties in the middle of the hood,
give somebody a chance, you know what I'm saying? Give your local DJ a chance.
I mean, my first couple house parties I was DJing, and drugs was being around me. I was like, Jesus, hope nobody runs in this mug. I'm just play the record, fool. I got you, bro.
So here on Trini Declassified, what I want to do on some episodes, if not all episodes, we want to kind of declassify, debunk, deep dive a little bit into some topics.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but when it comes to certain conspiracies, when they are being said for years and when it comes back, and sometimes you kind of have to question it, you kind of have to debunk it, you kind of have to see what's going on.
True.
This past weekend was the Oscars. Did you watch the Oscars?
I did not.
Yeah, I just saw the red carpet on that Sunday and was like, oh, the Oscars are today?
Yeah,
I had absolutely no idea.
The Grammys it popped up on you too. It's like, oh, time for the Grammys. What's going on?
I mean, I think it's maybe just the day of the age. More people aren't really watching CBS and whatever.
Viewership has fallen every year.
Which makes sense. It's not really tailored for us. But there was a controversy that some people consider happened at the Oscars. Now, the reason I want to bring this up too is not just because it was a current event, but because this actually involves one of my favorite all-time people. And I want to really dive into the fact that the only reason I'm bringing this conspiracy theory up is because it happened to one of my boys. You know who that boy is?
Who?
His name is John Cena.
Cena.
You can't see him.
Word life.
But you could see him. That's like Dr. Thugonomics.
I know.
Like he knows the original. This is why I need you on the show. This is why I'm glad you're here. So this past weekend at the Oscars, so people who didn't see, there was a skit where they were talking about, I think it was for the best costume or something like that award. And essentially in the skit, they're talking about how somebody streaked years ago, I want to say 50 years ago. And, it's kind of a joke because it's best costume and it's a naked person. Almost as they're saying this joke, towards the end of the joke, basically is when John Cena comes out. Yeah. And he's like a little naked. He's like scooting around with it. As he's doing this, I saw Twitter blow up into a fiasco saying this is what they call the humiliation ritual. I've heard this in the past from another famous person that I really enjoy, a guy by the name of Cat Williams. True. I've heard this from another comedian I'm a diehard fan, a guy by the name of Dave Chappelle. Okay. This is 20 years ago that these things were being said.
They've been said a lot.
Very much.
Especially in the black community.
And that's exactly what I was leading to, especially in black entertainment, especially in black Hollywood, completely different. But then they brought it on my boy John Cena, and I remember thinking to myself, like, hold up, like, so my main question is, how do you feel about this? Is this a real thing? I don't want to go full into details yet, but there's so many other ways of it in terms of like wearing a dress or, wearing makeup or something like that in a public kind of situation. So how do you feel about that now that this is brought back up through not only Cat Williams in an interview, not only through John Cena? What are your takes on that, and how do we debunk that? How do we declassify
So
that?
First off, I'm going to give my opinion on it.
Please.
I don't know if I believe in the humiliation ritual. I think in certain circumstances it can be that, but I don't think the John Cena one was that. He's also releasing, controversy for John Cena is good because he's in a new movie called Ricky Stenicki.
Shout out.
Part of his character in that movie is very controversial dressing. I think in the movie, at least in the preview,
in the trailer,
he's dressed as
Britney Spears
in Hit Me One More Time.
Hit Me One More Time.
So if you're gonna go naked at the Oscars and you look like John Cena,
you might as well.
So I don't have any issue with that. He was totally down for it.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Cat Williams comments,
yes,
I think that has to do with a lot of shame in the black community, a lot of guilt about how black bodies were treated by the slave trade.
Okay.
And also the emasculation, quote unquote, of black men.
Yes.
And the fact that they also sometimes see men doing it as, quote unquote, selling out.
Yes.
But I feel like if you know these actors' brand of comedy, you should get it. And I feel like if it's something outside of their character, like who they are as a person, like Dave Chappelle wasn't going to do that. That's not Dave Chappelle.
100% not Chappelle, no.
But Martin Lawrence, when he was doing the Martin TV show, he was cross-dressing all over the place.
Yeah, literally.
And people loved the Shanae character.
Oh, Shanae was iconic.
And he really said he did that character in a specific way because it represented specific women from where he was from.
Good point.
So he wanted to tell that story, part of that character from that lens, right?
I like that, yeah.
But if you're like, if you just dress up, I'm not saying you got to be a cross-dresser, but I think the fact that they feel like, it's almost like where they used to black men wear in minstrel shows, wear red lipstick and makeup and cork makeup to darken their face, to make them look as caricatures of themselves.
Yeah.
That's kind of why they have that issue. Like you're becoming a mammy caricature. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I get where the sensitivity comes from. I don't think it's that big of a deal if you already have that as a part of your repertoire.
Okay.
For me personally, as a black man, we did a fundraiser for a soccer team was supporting some type of charity when I was playing in soccer in Mississippi. We did a fashion show, a fashion show, but it was pretty much the guys dress up as the girls
dress up as guys. That's funny.
It's fun.
Yeah, yeah.
And the thing is none of us wore the underwear. We just wear, hey, mom, let me borrow this dress, let me borrow this shirt. I'm just going to be out there. And the thing is, if everybody's willing to do that and they're not forcing you to do it, like do this or else, and you're just having fun with it, there's no problem with it. If it becomes a habit, or if that's what if it's a habit, you're just a cross-dresser. Like,
that's just what you have.
That's what you like. I've seen some cross-dressers take some women, dog. They be out here. It's like Prince. He dressed assless chaps, but he will steal your girl.
He's like, he dresses like the woman because he takes the woman.
Has better makeup than your girl too, but he will steal your girl. I think there is a premise of the fear of it.
Okay.
But if you're just doing it in light heart, you're not taking it seriously, and if you're doing it out of the goal is to get the best product of the comedy or whatever you're doing, I have no issues with it. I think people who are insecure about what it means for them, and they're taking it, you're misrepresenting us.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
So I love how you pivoted to something that I was going to ask. At what point, you talked about it being in your demographic, but at what point does this go from being considered a humiliation, considered a ritual, considered embarrassing, to just being comedy? The reason I say I don't believe in this conspiracy theory is because I look at it all as comedy. Yeah. I look at it all as, like you mentioned, a great thing. What's good for the product? And if this is overall how they make the Oscars have a funny moment, a shocking wow moment.
The Oscars is all about moments.
It's all about viral moments the next day. And I mean, it did its job. We're talking about it. They were talking about it.
Helps a movie. Helps
his movie. It's literally great promotion and great marketing. I see it that way. I see the whole product, but people are still looking at it as like, oh yeah, he's promoting his movie, but at what cost? You know what I mean? And same thing with when you're mentioning with Martin, because that was, I think, what Chappelle was talking about, like in his interview. Martin was somebody who was doing that from the Martin show. Yeah. So at what point do you really look at it as like, okay, he's selling himself out, or he's just really good at doing this type of comedy?
For me personally, it's commitment to the role. Like, are you just doing this for a one-off thing to get to the next level? Yeah. Or is this a part of your repertoire? Like, Martin wrote most of his characters on that show, so it was a part of his repertoire. If you're just doing this to kind of get a quick boost, maybe it's kind of sellout-ish. Well, if you're doing it in the only sole attempt to gain opportunity or revenue out of it, then I have a problem with it.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you're doing this as a point of, oh, this character was written, I think it's funny, and I wanted to do it. Like, fine. I'm not the guy who counts your dollars, but if it's overly overt, and you're trying to do it in a way that's not in best of spirits, I guess. It's a very feely thing. I guess that's where I draw the line. Like, I haven't seen anybody recently who would come to mind who would do that.
I don't either.
And I think, like you said, when it comes to John Cena, it's about the moment. And like, when you get to the point where you're taking things too seriously, things really stop being funny. That's a problem.
Ooh, I like that. And I mean, we're talking about TikTok earlier. Is that kind of how you think a lot of people are? Because here's the thing. I'm bringing this up also, not just to have a topic on the conspiracy itself, but on the commentary of the conspiracy. Because to me, we probably were in the internet back in the day. Yeah. We saw a lot of these conspiracy theories. These were literal crazy people in their bedroom making these videos in early 2000s. Right.
Not everybody tries to be a flat earther or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But nowadays it's
trendy.
And that's where I think like misinformation and also just conspiracy information is so much more of a hot issue now than it was back then. Before, you were looked at so negatively and you were looked at like, no, we're not even going to listen to you, go get a job kind of thing. Now it is people's job to talk about this on TikTok, to talk about this on podcasts. But like, that is kind of the more fascinating part about it. Because I think what you're saying is still true as it was 20 years ago. I think that if you're doing it to level up in the world, you might have sold out a little bit. Yeah. But if it's your comedy, which I think most of the people I've seen, it's on par with their comedy, I don't think there's an issue with it. But so many people love spreading this conspiracy of it. And I think that, like, how do you feel about that? I think that the whole misinformation era is what we're a part of right now.
Yeah, I think like I said, it's trendy to be misinformed. Like, everybody thinks they can Google something, even though Google is like a
great source.
But do your research. Look at 2 to 3 sources.
Absolutely.
And find the consensus. 2 to 3 sources, find the consensus. Where the consensus is usually where the truth is.
That's very true.
Like, I Googled it. Did you go to 1 link or 2 links?
They don't even go to a link. They go to the headline and they just read the headline.
So, I think at least for this topic, it's more the sensitivity than it is the actual conspiracy. Because I think the black man feeling emasculated in society is a bigger driver for this conversation.
That's great.
Than as opposed to is like, this is a direct shot at black men, and why did he do that? It's kind of a cultural thing because that could be a whole different topic.
Well, no, actually, I'm glad. I kind of wanted to get into this. At what point does it also become a culture thing, and does it become a little phobic in terms of like, you know, like this is how our culture is supposed to be represented? Yeah. We both come from West Indian backgrounds. We know that there's a very strict culture in how they think we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to be portrayed and
especially in the
represent
masculine
them.
role.
100%. A West Indian man is supposed to be a certain way. Like we are, especially in the diaspora when we come to this country. Yeah. So like, I mean, I'm not saying I understand what it's like as a black American man, but I can empathize with that feeling of being a representation.
No,
but
it's all the you know, as a Caribbean person, you work you as a Trinidadian, you grow up in a plethora of society where you can understand the melting pot of blackism,
of course,
Indianism,
of course.
Just because of how Trinidad itself
absolutely
is organized as a people. So like you don't count yourself short on understanding.
Respect, I appreciate that.
Because you understand it because it's the Caribbean culture that also is a part of the black culture of
100%, 100%.
What's crazy is that in this conversation, the hyper masculinity that is being asked of men, and the fact that we're able to make light of that in a different way, counterbalance that and to make light of the hyper masculinity, us being big macho guy. Yeah. I'm gonna pretend to be this tiny feminine person in a big macho body. It's all about the juxtaposition.
Yeah, true.
And so that's the problem. That's the funny that they're not realizing why it's funny. And it's like you're supposed to be big macho. Don't let nobody ever put you in a dress. But that's the whole point of it being funny.
It's like an oxymoron, basically. Yeah.
But the different thing is if they're doing that and making you look stupid. And like that's the difference. If you're able to if there's quality humor in it, but if there's not quality humor and they make you look stupid, that's a problem. And I think within the culture, the desire for the expectation of black men to be aggressive, unfortunately, and sometimes to our detriment, and to be strong and masculine, also sometimes to our detriment because it doesn't give us the flexibility to be more than just that. Definitely is the problem. But when it comes to outside of that, if we can get outside of that culture, we allow people to be flexible and show who they are, be funny, and allow people to laugh, and not take ourselves so seriously. We're able to see that it's not that big of a deal.
It really isn't.
It really isn't. Like it's also you also got to talk about how Christianity also that lens there goes into it.
There's a religion aspect
for
sure.
Exactly.
And I get that. That's based on a lot of the culture. Again, in Caribbean as well. But you know, I think in today's day and age, you would hope that people aren't looking at it through that lens.
They are.
Of like hyper masculinity, of like traditional perceptions of men, of even religious perceptions, right? Like I think we already go through too many laws and issues and divisive topics. So it's like, why are you creating one, I guess, right? Like why are you finding this conspiracy through comedy?
But it's been created because of what they did to black men during the slavery times.
That is true. No, that is true. That's not something you could just remove.
But once again, that was a forced upon you situation. Yeah. As opposed to nowadays,
you're agreeing to something.
You're agreeing to something, and you have the right to say no. If it's not agreed to, you have the right to voice it. Say it. You have the right to speak up afterwards.
And I think that's where maybe the conspiracy is. Maybe people think that they aren't using the right choice. Mm-hmm. Like maybe like, hey, you have a choice to not do this, but you're still choosing for it. So like maybe you were forced on it, or maybe, you know, you sold your soul kind of thing. And I'm like you just mentioned, maybe I just want the best product. Like maybe I just want people to laugh by doing a shock factor thing.
Exactly.
Maybe I work out every day and I got beautiful abs, so I want to show it because I'm John Cena.
Exactly.
Most people don't see me anyway. Yeah. But it's like, no, I get what you're saying. And I mean, that's why I'm glad I brought you here to talk about it, because it goes through a string of phobics. It goes through a string of culture. It goes through a string of so many things.
I didn't care. I was dressed up as a girl for like an hour on a Saturday afternoon for charity. I was doing it for charity to get the kids some stuff. So it's one thing. Is that selling out? I don't know.
No, not at all. I can empathize with what the demasculating thing is, right? Yeah. Like I get it. I do understand that, and you're not wrong for that, especially from a culture perspective. But I just think, like, for you to commentate on these public celebrity people thinking that they sold their soul And again, it started with black community, but now I see it through John Cena.
Yeah.
It makes me want to question, why are you talking about it? Like, what makes you believe this? Because, bro, John Cena was set way before this. Way before.
He made that money.
One of my favorite tweets was like, oh, you guys are so right. John Cena sold his soul at the Oscars. Now he's about to get like a Fast and Furious deal.
He already been in
he's
Fast and
about to
Furious.
headline WrestleMania. I'm like, he's done all of that.
Yeah.
There's nothing else you can get from this. So it just blows my mind that people really want to like live in that conspiracy kind of bubble. I think that that's the main reason I brought this topic up, is because I don't care about the conspiracy theory in itself. It's just that it came back and so many people are diving into the commentary for it.
Look, guys, I'm masculine. I'm very traditional. My mind. I don't care. I don't need to care about everything. Like,
Preach it.
I just, even for me personally as a Christian, my job is to live the best version of being a Christian, to show you guys how to be a Christian. If you guys want to know about Christianity, ask me. My job is not to force it on you.
Yeah.
My job is to be the best version and example. And so even as being masculine, my job is to be the best masculine version of myself I can be. My job is not to tell you how to be masculine.
Preach.
So like, even guys, if you want to be masculine, don't just try to be masculine or be hard, be whatever. Learn what it takes to be that. Do the changes you need to do it, and just be it. And you'll see the results.
That's beautiful, man.
So but you don't need to force things or say certain things to prove that you are. Just be it.
And that's where I get the issue is, and that's kind of where I don't know if we'll ever hear that stop. You know, like people forcing their ideas onto you, people forcing their beliefs.
That's whole world. That's whole world.
Right, but like before, it used to be based on your religion, based on your culture. Now it's just like, hey, I watched this conspiracy theory on TikTok. This is my belief. Like,
but once again, those cultural norms, like you said, from religion, culture, society, they're all kind of broken down now and watered down now by the internet, by these other things. Because now you're getting inundated from people all over the world. The internet also was a blessing, but it also was a curse.
I was gonna say, would you say that the internet is like a religion now, or like some sort of a belief system? Because I think that, I'm not saying the right terminology, but I will get it. But I think that people go to the internet for a lot of their faith and a lot of their information now.
So I'll even say this: they did a study that I looked into. More people, more than ever, anytime recorded history, are not assigning themselves to be religious.
Yeah. I've read something like that.
So that more people in the history of in the world are now saying they're not religious, which means that whatever in the past 10 to 15 years, which was the internet, has now driven people to expand their way of thinking, which is positive, but also seek understanding outside of the core tenets of religion, which religion also drives culture, which also drives society.
100%.
And so, not saying other things don't.
No.
But definitely having people who have the same belief system, the same cultural norms are a part of that process. So, yeah, I think I would agree with that. Like, the internet has its own kind of weird effect on people. It may not be a religion.
Yeah.
But it has its own thing where people kind of go to it first to validate things as opposed to going to other options to find belief and understanding and other things that they can't explain.
Like source is like a thing now. People are like, oh yeah, I got sources. I know my source. And that used to be like a journalism.
They'd be so wrong.
All the time.
Even back when you were writing them papers, you had to find the right sources.
APA cited, you had to actually get the reference link for the encyclopedia.
Have 10 sources and cite them. You know what I mean? Like, y'all just go to the internet. Oh, Google told me.
Literally, Google told me, right? Or Siri told me. Like people really rely on that technology. Which,
by the way, guys, once again, find the consensus.
Please, 2 or 3, at least 2 or 3.
That's where the truth is.
I think the consensus of this whole Trini debunking, Trini declassified, I think we declassified it, and I think the consensus is that conspiracy theories are going to be around.
They're not going anywhere.
I think it's crazy that this was something, I'm telling you, 20 years ago, it would be the dude when you smoking weed, when you in the corner, like, yo, let me tell you about the dress though. You don't know about the dress. And that was, you didn't really believe him. And now you're seeing.
He sounds sane to people.
He's probably out there like, told y'all, Told y'all.
This is now 2024. You have a whole system of people
That believe
the Earth is flat.
in the geocentric system, like that we're still the center of the universe too. Like that blows my mind.
Yeah, we've debunked it many times.
There is scientific facts that prove some of these conspiracy theories wrong.
There's not enough of another podcast that Neil deGrasse Tyson can do to teach y'all boys the Earth is round. He's been on Joe Rogan.
Bro, he's been on a lot.
He's been on Joe Budden.
I've watched him.
I think he has his own podcast at this point.
He has the Cosmos TV show where he tells you about it. Like
he's been on National Geographic. He's been on Discovery Channel.
He's been on Nickelodeon talking about it.
He talked to the babies.
He's breaking it down.
He's been on CNN. Where else do you want that man to go? I don't know, y'all.
I'm all for the new wave where we should be conspiracizing things. I'm all for questioning authority, questioning truth. I am. Of course. But I do think there are certain things that science and history has proven us to know and be true. Mm. I think this topic that we talked about is something that is still a conversation. We don't know it to be true or not, but I think that eventually it will be one of those conspiracies of like, hey, I don't really think it's that big of a deal to embarrass yourself in this light if it's for the better of your product and for something you're not selling out for. But I do think that we need to stop relying on the internet as our biggest source of information and acting like that is what we can cite and be credible. You're not credible if that's what you are. And that's what every single tweet, every single TikTok, every single Instagram reel I've seen, it's all saying the same stuff. It's all citing the same conspiracy theorists that I was talking about 20 years ago. So at the end of the day, don't believe all your information from it. Don't feed off of especially the negative conspiracies. And if you see John Cena naked at the Oscars,
you don't see him.
Kind of question your beliefs. Kind of question, why is this wrong? Why do I think that this is such a bad issue? Because at the end of the day, if it's for the art of comedy, a joke is a joke is a joke. Yeah. And that's all you got to kind of live off of. But I don't want to change your beliefs. I just think that we got to declassify some things. And that conspiracy of wearing a dress and, I think it's declassified.
While we're talking, I just thought about the movie Fahrenheit 451 or whatever.
Yeah.
What you need to understand is the internet's only one source. They haven't copied every book on there. And the whole point of having books was have many sources available for us across wherever we're going to go.
Absolutely.
What happens if in that movie, his job as a fireman was to burn books, to ban, almost like to ban knowledge, so there would be only one source of knowledge.
Oh wow!
So, the story itself is an allegory for how freedom of knowledge is very important. Yeah. So, guys, one source of knowledge is not the best option. You need to have multiple sources of knowledge to have a founding place of what knowledge really is, understanding really is. So, his point of Trini Declassified is to have these controversial conversation topics, but for also you guys to do the critical thinking to understand what goes beyond it, the detriments, the pros and the cons, and take your own advice and thoughts, and don't have to target us with it because we have our own thoughts, but also just do what you need to do to learn more and share that with your friends and family, man.
You just gave me like a monologue and an outro in terms of what my whole business point and my whole actual motive for this show is without me even saying it.
Dropping gems, baby.
Yo, dropping gems on my first episode. That was beautiful.
That's free of charge, by the way.
Yeah. I did not charge him at all. He might Venmo request me later tonight, though. But that's exactly what I'm here for. I'm trying to get that critical thinking piece. I'm trying to get you guys to think outside the box. I think movies like that, movies like The Book of Eli, they kind of tell you that that's the goal of people who are trying to control you, is to get you to think one way. I think with all these sources of information, use it. Yeah. Don't just listen to one TikTok conspiracy theorist. Use all your sources. Come up with your own thoughts. Come up with the consensus.
And once again, to another point, when you're in that bubble on TikTok, you're getting put down an alley to think one way.
100%.
Think about it from all different angles. And I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm done giving gems.
No, beautiful. Like honestly, I can't top that. That was beautiful. Man, I am so glad I had you on today's episode, not just because of the 4-year reunion.
Of course,
it really feels good to be back in this room with you. Last question, since we talked about AI, talked about TikTok, talked about music, where do you see the future in 10 years from now for America? Do you think we're going to go into iRobot? Do you think we're going to get into Minority Report?
I think we should be in a better place. I think the economy is doing okay. It's roaring back. Slowly but surely, we're still having a bunch of jobs now growing. The fact that virtual work has become almost virtual and hybrid work has almost become the norm.
Yes.
But you also need these buildings to have people in them.
Yeah.
Because guess what happens? If there's no people in the buildings, the locations that are around those buildings don't get service with the workers.
Food places, even residents, complexes and
exactly.
stuff. Yeah,
you
that's
miss
true.
out on people living there or having life in these communities.
Yeah.
If we can bring back some more of that, I think it'll be good. I think America right now has to kind of bite back on the automation bug as far as when it comes to jobs. Because guess what happens? You start paying people $15 an hour at McDonald's, guess what? We're going to get a robot to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's cheaper.
They're already doing it.
Hopefully America can continue to grow for the better. And that's why hopefully we continue to get better at education because we need more people doing good jobs. Hopefully we can get enough people doing labor, blue-collar labor because guess what? We need more plumbers, pipe layers.
More than ever.
We will always need electricians. We'll always need plumbers. We'll always need carpenters.
Vocational schools, HVAC, all of that.
By the way, ladies, since I'm saying this, please consider dating a plumber, carpenter. They will get rich eventually.
He will lay down the pipes.
Yeah, and lay the wood down too. And shock your world. Anyway, well, I guess shout out to my electricians. But definitely, man, the more you know in this world, the better off you'll be, and just put yourself in the best position. I think America will still be fine. So it's like our generation is going to be, I think in the next 20 years, will be seen as the most resilient generation of all time because we didn't have the steady time. No, it wasn't really steady, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
All generations go through a thing, but I think the greatest generation, they had culture. They had things that binded them together. Our generation has been literally ripped to shreds.
Yeah, no. All the values have been changed. Everything has been different courses, colleges,
we
and
saw
getting
the
new
internet.
houses.
We've seen everything change. Colleges change. We've been through fourth wave feminism. Our cultural values have changed. So it's like our generation, I think, will be seen as the most resilient generation. I think our generation will be in the best position, hopefully, as we get to the 40s and 50s, be able to lead the country because we've seen so much.
Yeah.
And I think that our generation will probably be the one that gets it back on track.
I mean, to your point, we survived the blip. Our generation survived the pandemic. Like, that's something I don't think a lot of generations can say that the world stopped for a year and came back. So we will figure out later on in Trinity Declassified. Yo, I want to just thank you so much for coming to my show, Spyda, man. It's been an honor, brother.
I appreciate this, man. Eventually, you're going to have to bring me back every
of
once
course.
in a while. I'll be a recurring guest.
Of course, man, especially for these types of topics. Like, I knew you would bring some gems, and you brought some diamonds, so I appreciate that, man.
No problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, they call me Trini D. This has been Trini Declassified. Make sure you tune into us, all right? Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you find podcasts, YouTube, Instagram. But thank y'all for tuning in, and till next time.
Next time.
Peace out.
Peace.
You are now listening to Trini D.
Classified.
They call me Trini D.